Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And also, I have my Oga here. He's an aspiring honorable. President of Brand Journalists Association of Nigeria, is a brand analyst of repute and a renowned journalist, Mr. Agodi Ofose. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Patience. Patience, I will be leaving Lagos this afternoon.
I know that.
To my place. Our primary is on 26.
Yes.
We are all working so hard to make sure that at the end of the day, the better person wins.
Yes. All right. I like that. I like the fact that, you know, you have keep an open mind about it.
But that should be the spirit.
Politics shouldn't be a do or die affair.
Of course, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't.
All right, but then we wish you all the best, Mr. Godi.
Thank you.
All right, talking about politics, we will be kickstarting the show discussing the aftermath of the Osun elections. The elections went down on Saturday, the 22nd of September, and I'm sure we're all already privy to a lot of what went down at that particular elections. Meanwhile, the number to use is 0802-836-8971, SMS only. Okay, the People's Democratic Party and other stakeholders on Sunday, after INEC, the electoral body, declared the Osun State governorship election inconclusive, have come out to protest. PDP says they will not accept the declaration by INEC because it's quite clear that their candidate, Senator Ademola Adeleke, was very blatantly, obviously, the winner of that particular election. So let's take this quick clip of the National Publicity Secretary for that party actually having his say on that matter.
The People's Democratic Party rejects in its entirety the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC's declaration of the September 22nd, 2018 Osun governorship election as inconclusive. The PDP insists that the process was conclusive and that its candidate, Senator Ademola Adeleke, who won a total of 254,698 votes, is in a clear lead and should be immediately declared winner by INEC, having met the requirement of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The people of Osun State and the entire nation are already aware that the PDP has won this election. They have the authentic figures from the polling units, and they also know who the voters prefer between the candidate of the PDP and the candidate of the APC. The people, by their votes, have overwhelmingly declared for our candidate, and we are not ready as a party to accept any attempt by anybody to use any means whatsoever to steal our mandate, which has been freely given by the people. The PDP is for peace, but we will not hesitate to use every force available in a democracy to face any attempt to subvert the will of the people or lead us out in this election. The PDP, therefore, charges the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to avoid the fury of the people by immediately reversing this fraudulent decision of the resident electoral officer and declaring our candidate the winner of the election. Anything short of this is definitely not acceptable to the PDP and the people of Osun State, and it is a direct recipe for crisis. Finally, the PDP cautions INEC and the APC to know that the game is up. The people of Osun State have decided in favor of the PDP, and that has become a fact that they can never alter.
All right, we heard it firsthand from the National Publicity Secretary for the People's Democratic Party. Mr. Osangbe,
yes,
do you think this stance by the PDP is the right one to take after the declaration by the Electoral Commission?
No, you wouldn't expect PDP to take any other stand other than this particular one for obvious reasons. One, in my view, INEC, before this election, And in previous elections, whether it's in Ondo, Edo, and in Anambra, had behaved in a way to suggest that they are an appendage of
the APC.
Of the APC.
Okay.
And that is very dangerous. So from beginning, PDP have been very suspicious. That's number one. Number two is the fact that neither APC nor PDP expected a kind of turnout by voters in the Osun election. Is that clear indication that people are now very conscious and their votes will count. So PDP, what they're trying to do is to cash in on this supposed credible election. INEC is about to mess it up by this, the line they are towing. I'm not a lawyer. I do not want to go into the legality of, what they are doing, but the Constitution is written in clear and simple English language, and I think I'm educated enough to read and understand it. Except that I cannot be in court. But the point here is that I am one of those who would toe the PDP line and urge the Independent National Electoral Commission to urgently, to save our democracy, urgently declare Ademola Adeleke the winner of this election.
Okay, all right, but then does the reason given by INEC, does it count, saying that the number of cancelled votes was higher than the margin between the two top candidates? That is the reason for declaring these elections inconclusive. Does that count at all?
Pesha, let me not speak like a politician. Yes, it does.
It does, okay.
It does count. It does count because this is not the first inconclusive election we have had. And where the suspicion comes in is where we have a recent election in Kogi State. A by-elections, to be specific.
Lokoja.
A Lokoja, where an APC candidate, and don't forget, in a general elections, no individual stands for elections, party stands for elections. It's only at the primary levels that individuals stands for election in their different parties. Where the by-elections was conducted by the same INEC. And the different from the result was just 12 million. And the council elections was allegedly 19 million. 19,000 rather. 19,000, 12,000 and 19,000, pardon me. But the same INEC went ahead and declared a winner in that election. Now, you have set a precedent. Now, why don't you follow through
in other elections? Okay.
Now, we know that a lot of things went wrong. I think on social media yesterday, I even have to have an altercation with someone over this matter. And I said, look, council elections, I'm a journalist. I'm not a political journalist. I'm a brand journalist. I only have a vested interest in politics to begin to discuss some of these things. And I said, council elections, in a unit, they said election, they voted, and in the process of counting, it was disrupted. Election was voted. And in the history of Nigerian election, Osun election was the one I have heard people commended to be as peaceful as any election in the world. I never expected any inconclusiveness in the Osun election because I was following through on television and there were no crises, there were no delayed in materials, there were no INEC were up to date.
It was seemingly smooth.
Very smooth, very peaceful. So at what point did we begin to talk about inconclusiveness in an election that was adjudged as the most peaceful in the Nigerian history? Now, that's why I'm saying I don't want to talk like a politician. I want to put these issues in perspective and let us look at it. Now, I want to ask a question. Could INEC have done that if an APC man had that
was
level
clearly in the lead.
Had that level of lead in that election. Now, I'm not judging INEC. I'm not bringing them to this. We have to put everything, because in politics, you see, the same thing that APC is suffering today is what PDP suffered in 16 years. Everyone conspired against PDP. I included myself. Everything they did at that time when they were in power, at the center and everything, the same thing that APC is facing is what they face.
Everything was questionable. I get what you mean. But, you know, there are various degrees to, people say there are various layers to a masquerade dance. So in this particular regard, you know, taking into cognizance the huge turnout of electorates, they defied the weather, the rains and everything, and went to cast their vote. Already there were jubilations in several areas where by themselves they could tell what election results were. It was that open. You understand? You would have expected INEC to have taken a different turn. That's what I'm saying. But well, they are the electoral body, and if they say this election has a reason for it not to be conclusive, I think we have to abide by that.
Yeah, we have to abide by it, but they have to equally be careful so that, because 2019 is just around the corner, the significance of Osun election is not just to elect a new governor for Osun State, but rather is a pointer, if you like, to what we should be expected in 2019.
So our electoral process.
Yes, our electoral process. And you don't want that to be called to question, because a lot of expectations, a lot of anticipations, the politics is already, you know, heated up. There's crisis, you know, so to speak. The National Assembly has not resumed. There's so much anticipation. We don't know what's going to happen.
Too many already.
So, and so the INEC cannot in any way be seen to be adding to the already tensed situation we have found ourselves in the country.
All right. Now, Mr. Gotti, you mentioned while talking earlier that this particular elections we're talking about, the Osun elections, by far was the most credible so far. You know, free and fair and all of that. But then the electorate has also accused INEC ad hoc staff of taking bribe, you know, amongst other election malpractices. And I think 3 people were actually caught trying to buy votes. And vote buying again, you know, reared its head in this particular elections, and it was on both sides, APC and the PDP. Some people were apprehended. But now let's take this video really of one particular man who actually tried in his own way to hijack the whole elections. Let's take this clip.
My electoral officer, Mrs. Adenoye, she was called me, says allow, go and remove the results that Ayidade local St. Peter. So I wanted to ask her what happened. He cut it. So the first thing, I go and meet electoral officer, Mr. Oladunjoye. This is what my electoral officer said, that I should go and remove the result at St. Peter. So immediately I wanted to remove it like this. 2 party agents, they came and said, who sent you? I said, I don't know anything. My electoral officer said I should go and remove this thing. From there, they arrested me. Since they arrested me, they not beat me.
Who arrested you? Who arrested you?
Mrs. Adenoye.
Who arrested you?
Party agents, 2 party agents just beating me. Ayidade local government, sir.
Okay, kí ni ó wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ yìí?
Result St. Patrick, sir.
Chibo
Ayidade
local government. Ti election wo?
Election governorship.
Governorship.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ sir.
Okay, ta ló rán ẹ pé kó wá yá?
Ihu ni wọ́n pè mí láàárọ̀ pé.
A ló ń jẹ́ Ihu, dárúkọ. Kí ni ìtumọ̀ Ihu?
Ihu electoral officer.
Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀?
Mrs. Adenoye.
Adenoye. níbo ló ti ń ṣiṣẹ́?
Ayédáadé local government.
Ìjọ wo ni election yìí take place?
22/9/2018.
2018.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sir.
Ó wá ní kó wá ya result yìí. Kí ni ọ́fíìsì tiẹ̀ ní INEC?
Registrar officer.
Registrar officer. Now kí ni result Ayédáadé tẹ́lẹ̀? Kò tó yá result ń bẹ́nu síìtì yìí. Kí ni result yẹn? Kí ni result yẹn?
All right. Well,
one of them.
I had to play that video in both English and Yoruba for so that people could understand it, how far some people actually went to hijack the process. Vote buying, another issue. Tearing up voting materials, because they're trying to. Well, it's a lot. Plus, the new rule by INEC that. Recording devices, electronic devices rather, will not be allowed at the polling booths. Some electorate complained that they really did not adhere to that rule.
Yeah, I think basically what this has revealed to us is that there's still so much to be done in terms of preventing this kind of incidents. We've not learned much from the Ekiti election, so to speak, but obviously it was reduced to some extent. But we would have thought that from the way it was so glaring in the Ekiti election, that you wouldn't even want to see it here because it was so embarrassing. Now, for me, moving forward, what I expect here is that the police should be addressing the Nigerian public on the outcome of this. One, who is the agent working for, supposedly is working for APC, allegedly, and we should be expecting prosecution. That this fellow is been named and shamed. Then after that, what happens? We expect prosecution so that we serve as a deterrence, to others who may want to carry out such nefarious activity in other elections. But I do not expect this to actually go anywhere, because politicians have a way of, special apologies. Politicians have a way of, going their ways, because he's working for them. So he's going to get off the hook. That is the sad aspect. Yeah, that's the sad aspect of it. So we should be holding police to account on this particular incident. Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Godi, how do you react?
Well, I think Osun election should be a pace-setter for other elections in Nigeria. Unfortunately, Osun election is just a state, and the kind of the personnel, the resources that we have to checkmate some of the offenses that could have come up, or checkmate some criminally intended people to hijack the materials and do some other things that are untowards to proper electoral process, we could actually have that kind of resources. But when it comes to the general elections, where you're going to have elections in each of the states, and with the personnel and resources stretched, you may not actually have record the kind of successes that we have seen in Osun State. And I think this election is about all of us. I think the moment we begin to realize that politics is not do or die, it's a call to service. If you are not wanted by your people, you shouldn't kill yourself to serve them. Now, at the end of the day, by the time we begin to reorientate ourselves on this, all of the things that you have seen on that video, you will not see them. Now, I told you, I'm leaving today to my state. I will come back here, I tell you I have won. I will come back here, I tell you I didn't win. And I'm going to support whoever the community says we want. Do you understand? Okay. At the general election. So the moment the politicians begin to look at all of this, and all of these things is as a result of too much money in the system. Do you understand? Too much money in the system. And if I am the chairman of Branch Journalists Association of Nigeria, why should I kill myself to get a successor if I've not done anything wrong? Exactly. Why should I? Why should I try as much as possible to cover my behind? Your tracks. If I've not done anything wrong. Yeah. So all of these things as a result of the things that we do while we are in office, we are afraid that it will get back at us when we leave. Then we should ensure that we get our stooge, our whatever, and put in there to cover up. At the end of the day, you always know the result anyway.
Of course.
One of them is Kano State, Akwa Ibom State, Anambra State, Anambra State anyway, Enugu State. Examples abound. You can see at the end of the day, some of those things usually get back.
All right, Mr. Good, let me ask you, because yesterday when I called you, you told me you were studying the Electoral Act. What's the stand of the Constitution, really, in a case like this?
Well,
Go on.
Well, I actually wrote that down, and I forgot it in my car when somebody took it. I wanted to read it. You see, it is the duty of the umpire to announce whoever that has the highest numbers.
Simple majority.
Highest numbers of votes. And in the case of, if you read down, I am not a lawyer, so I didn't cram all of those things. If you read down, there's another place that gives you another condition that you must score at least 25% in 2/3 of the states, if it's in a state or a country. In all the states in the country or in all the local governments in a state.
Okay.
Then, if you satisfy that provision of the law, the now simple majority comes in. Now, the law also gives the INEC also the powers to also do what? Declare election inconclusive.
Okay.
If at the point where you have council votes. Now, the problem we have in Osun State is to define what is a council vote and a voided vote. Don't also forget that some votes were voted, some units were actually voted, but later council. And in the law it said if the umpires cannot conduct election in those places as a result of security breaches or whatever that will compromise the electoral process. So when you look at all of these things and bring Osun State into it, do we actually get those situations in those places, in those units where election couldn't held? Because I know that the part of Ife yesterday, it was largely peaceful, and Omishere who came from that area won
largely in that, yeah.
And some. So at what point do we have that problem?
All right, Mr. Sangbe.
No, basically the constitution is very clear, and the constitution supersedes any bylaw or any electoral law, if you like. And the position of the constitution, just like he has said, is simple majority, provided if you have scored 25% of the total votes, you know, in this case, in the state. And Adeleke had satisfied that relevant section of the constitution, and he scored highest number of votes, and therefore some of us are of the view, very much seriously of the view, that this man won this election. If you don't like him, sorry, the Osho people like him. Whether he's the best disco dancer or not is inconsequential. The truth of the matter is that the people have spoken, and their voices must be recognized.
Exactly.
Do you understand? That's my take on this. And so, sadly for INEC, the inconsistency, because you've set a precedent in the local by-election. And on this occasion, similar scenario, you know,
plays out.
So you must be consistent. So as not to create doubt in the minds of the
people. Because it is not in INEC's place to say 12,000 votes is higher than 353. It's not in your place. Since we have 19,000 votes, okay, and the difference is 12,000 votes, you should have allowed them. Now, if you put it, now my concern, the major concern in all of this is that we have actually set the numbers of votes that is left to make up the entire vote, so for a candidate to be declared winner. Now, I want INEC to come out openly and say that Osun State had 1.6 million registered voters and 1.6 million registered voters voted.
I get what you're saying.
Now, because if at this point, if we are not careful, we have already said that 3,462 votes are up for grab on Thursday. Some people could actually go and sit and write the 3,462 votes.
Use that information
Now,
to their own.
What is the percentage of voters that voted against the registered voters?
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. And like Mr. Sangbi said, I think the Osun people actually spoke, in this election, even regardless of INEC's declaration that the election is
somebody will say is a dancer. Do you remember is an actor, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
yes.
who become a state in California, a governor. He's also an entertainer.
He's entitled to dance if he wants to.
There is a man in Ukraine, a boxer, who is now their mayor.
There's a footballer in Liberia.
There's a footballer in Liberia that is the president today. So what are we talking about?
And when President Buhari was contesting, and some of us were saying he doesn't have this qualification, they said even if he brought NEPA bill.
No, we said it went as low as saying that a recharge card that he bought, that he loaded in his phone, that he bring it.
If he brings it,
we will use it.
So if this man has decided to be the Michael Jackson of Nigeria,
So it's okay.
People have decided
people spoke, and really, regardless of INEC's declaration, they hit the streets and jubilation galore because it was clear to the people who won the elections. Let's take a clip of the Osun people actually rejoicing. Let's take that clip.
Leave this dance side.
The mood of Osun people, they're quite infectious, I dare say. I felt like dancing along, But then, a quick last question before we go to viewers' comments. How do we continue to repose our trust in INEC, after all this, discrepancies coming from that electoral body, especially as the general elections are nearby?
The ball is in the court of INEC. The most, you see, in a particular time in your life, you tell yourself, hang on, I want to do what is right. Like some of us will say, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian, you say, look, I want to go to heaven. So if you want to go to heaven, what do you do? You behave well, and shun, some things that will not make you to see God. So for INEC to get the people's trust, all they need to do is just be transparent. Tell yourself, look, I want to do this and just go.
Okay.
Do you understand? For the good of society. Do you understand? Until they do that, they cannot earn the people's trust, and until they extricate themselves from the APC conundrum, from the APC appendage, people will not have trust in their
Mr. Godi, quickly.
I think the impartiality of the INEC is already enshrined in our constitution and in the Electoral Act. It is an umpire. An umpire is supposed to be neutral. That is not enough. I think they must walk the talk. And the clamor for the INEC chairman to be appointed by the judiciary should be listened to. I think at this point, it is not enough for perhaps we thought that what happened in 2015, that an INEC appointed by the federal government work impartially and come out with the result that some Nigerians really were happy about. I think that is not enough. If you appoint me, if Mr. Peter, who is here with me today, becomes the governor of Lagos State and makes me the chairman of Lagos State Electoral Commission, there's chances that some certain things that will give me listening here.
Okay.
Over the opponent.
Yeah. All right, let's look at how viewers are reacting to the Osun elections. Brandy says, Osun INEC are jokers. You declared a winner and later said it's inconclusive. Come what may, PDP is the winner. I'm not surprised that PDP is leading in this election. I don't expect the good people of Osun to vote in a party that was paying civil servants half salaries for months. PDP will still win the rerun. APC should forget 2019. Mike sent that one in. This one says, please, sir, we want to know why Osun State elections results has been delayed. Where have you been? All right. How on earth could INEC declare an election they regarded as free and fair inconclusive? This is too bad. Let Osun election count by announcing the winner of Osun gubernatorial election to avoid unnecessary war.
There are a lot of
Osun
inconsistencies
State.
in all of these things. A lot of inconsistencies. Like the report said, the headquarters of the election is in Osogbo. Why should Osogbo result come in last? Not just last, delayed.
All right. Anthony says, I think INEC knows what they are doing. There were security operatives and the Osun people know who they want, and INEC spending found. Oh, wow. I can't continue this one. This one says, I believe vote is the only way we can identify people's choice, and it's very clear now that we Nigerians were deprived of our right. Massacre from Ibadan sent that one in. The election has been concluded before disruption. No major violence, no casualty. The ideological constitution is supreme over any institutional rules or regulation. PDP has clearly won the election. APC, please, in the interest of Nigeria, accept defeat. Soji Adeshino sent that one in from Iwo. Anti-patience, INEC has done the right thing. I think the people in the studio are not PDP members. Mr. Godi of Ose, I know is PDP. I don't know about Mr. Sangbido. All right. Anyway, Beshi is saying 353 votes difference over 3,498 cancelled votes cannot stand. Okay, good afternoon. This is a political witch hunt. If it is the APC's candidate leading with 300 plus votes, INEC would have declared him the winner. This is unfair on Osun people.
Ayo
from Osun.
Maybe because from what happened in Kogi,
yeah.
You can deduce from what happened in Kogi in this case.
All right, Adeniyi from Ogba says, is it really written clearly in the Constitution that whenever void votes beyond the margin, there should be a rerun?
It's not void vote, council votes.
Okay, all right, more and more are coming in. Good afternoon, all. Can INEC chairman be voted for like other seats instead of appointing?
By the judiciary. But you see, for me, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has a stake in this.
Yeah.
One, he inherited a government, or put it this way, he's a beneficiary of a free and
fair election. Yes, we all praise the INEC chairman.
The least he can bequeath on this country is to bequeath us free and fair election.
And also,
he took the right step. For this, though some people said he was interfering, but they wanted to, the police in their usual idiocy wanted to arrest Adeleke. He said no, he ought not to ordinarily, and the Buhari that we know doesn't interfere easily.
He
will just keep quiet.
For that.
Mr. President, since 2015 has been fair. He doesn't interfere, maybe in his party. He doesn't interfere in a general election. Unlike other presidents, I can say it here, who get involved in electoral processes, influenced it, obviously. Some of them did not even actually campaign for their governors.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. President will come and campaign and will leave you to do your job. Perhaps that is a bit different from what we had.
So he's done well to save the situation there, but
Okay.
he must now insist. INEC, do your job.
Okay.
Just do it effectively.
The last one is that there is a supplementary election on Thursday. All cards should be on the table.